Hello, bitch. I bet you thought you'd seen The Last of Us.
Hello, everybody.
God.
Welcome to Blood Monsters and Fears, a horror monster movie podcast hosted by me, Craig Brosnan.
And me, Anastasia Castleberry.
And yes, bitch, we're back.
I know it's
Surprise.
been it's been a while.
It has been a while, hasn't it?
I'm sorry.
So,
I have this thing called depression. I
yeah,
don't know what else to say.
it happens to the best of us. We're back, though. We're going to try to get in the swing of things. We're no longer going to promise weekly, just in case. But we're still going to try to stick to whatever we say we'd do next. Because this episode is making the last episode before this one a lie. Because we're not reviewing Freaky, which we'll probably do eventually anyway, because I still really enjoyed that movie. We did actually go and see it, we just never actually did a review of it.
Yeah, anything for Vince Vaughn, you know?
True, Vince Vaughn is the fucking man. But no, we're covering, in celebration of when this comes out, the day this post will be the day that the movie we have all been waiting for our entire lives comes out.
All.
Yes, all of it. I was born waiting for this day to come, and that is Godzilla vs. Kong, the ultimate showdown, the fourth movie in the MonsterVerse. I'm so fucking excited.
I'm excited for you.
You're excited too. Don't downplay it.
I like the lizard and the monkey. I
It's
just
true.
don't want them to fight.
That is true. This Wednesday, March 31st, Big Monkey and Large Lizard will go bang bang boom. And I cannot wait. But in celebration of that, we thought we would go over the original King Kong vs. Godzilla from 1962.
Older than my paw. Hi, paw, if you see this.
Probably older than most people's paws. A pretty old movie. I really didn't think about that, actually, until I was just kind of thinking about the movie today, because that's all I can think about right now because of how excited I am. But I didn't realize, just saying, I'm like, wow, I'm like, the original's 60 years old, basically. That's insane.
Yeah, almost. It's a long time to wait to remake a movie.
I know, and it's kind of funny because it's really not a remake for the most part, because so much is different. The circumstances are different. The way they're setting it all up. There's a lot of homages. If you've seen this movie we're going to talk about today, then you will notice a lot of references and kind of callbacks that they have, and that's of course something for fanboys like me to get super excited about. But I think the new movie looks great, and Anna had never seen the original one the whole way through. She fell asleep the first time we started to watch it.
It was not even... I made it through 3/4 of that damn movie. Not that much happened after I fell asleep. It was more than that. I think there was only 20 minutes
True, but
left.
the 20 minutes that were left was the big showdown at the end.
I know,
so...
but I told you that I don't like to see the lizard and the monkey fight.
They have to.
I'd have to disagree. Why can they not just hold hands and go on with their lives?
Have you seen all the fan art of them kissing?
That's not what I meant. Why does it have to be like that? Why can't people just have completely platonic relationships?
I don't know, because big lizard and large monkey kiss is funny.
Gross.
It's a little funny to me.
Not my son Godzilla.
Well, that's just how it's got to be, because the internet's awful, and I've seen worse things than that in the last couple of days.
What?
Well,
No, anyway.
No need to say.
Anyway.
What? That's just how the internet works. So, King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962. Excellent film. It was something, as far as I know, Toho kind of had to fight for the rights to have King Kong in their movies because... who is it? WB, I believe, owns, and WB is stingy, and Toho is also super stingy. I wish anyone in the world owned Godzilla.
Other than Toho.
I can't lie. But this film happened, and it's fantastic. For anyone that hasn't seen it, fear not, you can still listen to this review. I promise. And any of these movies, whenever we do a horror review, you should probably watch it beforehand. If we're doing a monster review like this, it probably doesn't matter if you know what the plot is or not. If we're being real, a lot of time the plot is secondary to Big Monkey and Large Lizard. Go bang bang boom boom. That is kind of what you watch the movies for. Of course, there's always human elements, and that does matter. It can't be shit, because that's what's going to be a majority of the movie. Anytime you watch any of these movies, the monster fights are usually really closer to probably 10 to 15% if I had to make a fair guess. And one thing that we agreed on when we started the shows, whenever we do these giant monster movies, is I kind of have to run the show. because I have some more background knowledge opposed to Anna's knowledge of the horror movie variety. So I'll be running this show. Forgive me, this is only like my second time doing that, so if I'm a little rough, I apologize. This is also our first time doing this in months, so it's just been a while since we podcasted.
It's okay, Kaiju Craig. Everything will be fine.
It is me, Kaiju Craig, ready to tell you about Yujiro Honda's 30,000th movie.
I can also say that, this movie, like we just said, is almost 60 years old, so you don't get a spoiler warning. I think I said the same thing for Phantom of the Opera. There is no spoiler warning when a movie is this old and older. Get over it. They play it on TCM all the time.
Now, I have to disagree with that, but that's a different conversation. But if you've listened to our show before, then you already know that we're a spoiler-filled show, because that's just kind of the nature of what we do here anyway. But, that being said, I don't think King Kong should have won. That was bullshit. So,
I'm telling you, first of all,
Godzilla would win.
He didn't win. He didn't win at all. Oh no, Godzilla falls into the ocean where he's from.
Shut up. I have a conspiracy theory, really, though, that I really think that part of the agreement that they made back in the day to have King Kong vs. Godzilla is I think that they had to agree to let King Kong win, because otherwise I don't think they would have made the deal. Because they technically borrowed WB's internal property. So I think, doesn't that make sense, though?
Yes, but I'm gonna stick to my guns here. It is a very ambiguous ending. Godzilla is not dead. They do not say explicitly, at least in the English dub, that he is dead.
True. But they pretty much say that he won. They're like, Godzilla's nowhere to be seen, and Kong is swimming home.
Yeah, but Godzilla's returning back down into the ocean where he lives.
I guess that's fair. I think they tried to imply that King Kong won, so.
And that's all good and fine, but if you don't tell me the monkey won, I'm not coming out here and I'm not rooting for the gorilla when I know that my lizard son is in the ocean where he belongs.
That's fair. But that also brings me to a fun fact that I have, just right off the bat. A good fun fact to throw right off the bat is, for a long time, and a lot of people believed the rumor that in the Japanese cut of this film, they believed that the ending was changed so that Godzilla won. Like, as a territory thing, but that's never been true. Yeah, if you watch either version, King Kong is the quote-unquote winner. But I always thought that was funny, because for years and years and years, that was always a rumor. And even to this day, a lot of people think that, because most people don't take the time to watch both versions. Which, to be fair, you don't really need to. There's not that many differences between the Japanese and American one, at least as far as I know. But,
I don't remember. Did it have that? Did it do that?
You know, I actually don't think that's in this movie, which is weird.
For those who don't know, that is the Godzilla theme. I only know this because of Queg.
No, yeah, there's a few Godzilla movies that don't have like the traditional Godzilla theme, and it always breaks my heart. One of those being Godzilla 2014,
which is whack.
Which is ridiculous, but again, I think that's Toho being Toho.
Yeah, it's funny that they threw such a like a big fade and like had to have the King Kong rights, and then they do that stuff to people now. Like, oh, how the tables have turned, goblins.
God, Toho, you suck.
You're disrespectful.
Sell Godzilla, please.
They forget where they come from.
But yeah, so movie good. If you haven't watched it, watch it. What? Straight to the point.
Oh, God.
Movie good. Watch it if you haven't. If not, get excited to go see the new one today. This could be something you listen to on the way to the movie theater if you have like an hour drive to go see Godzilla vs. Kong. If not, listen anyway. We appreciate it. Thank you. But this film by our boy Yujiro Honda, he made the original Godzilla. He also did the original Mothra. And I think it's kind of interesting and kind of funny just knowing how serious and bleak and different the first movie is, knowing that he went to direct and create some of the more cheesy films that Godzilla went down the road of for a while there, from the 60s to the late 70s.
I think after a while you stop taking yourself so seriously.
I guess that's fair.
When you're making movies about a really big lizard.
That's fair.
You know, you can't be all gloom and doom all the time.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people also don't know this is actually only the third Godzilla movie ever, which is kind of wild, because you would think with this big monster clash between two of the most famous giant monsters of all time, you would think that there would be a little bit more history of both, and really there isn't, because there's only King Kong and Son of Kong up to that point, and then there's Godzilla, The second one, I'm blanking on the name of, where he fights Anguirus, however you want to say it. And then there's this one. I always thought that was kind of interesting, because even when I was a kid, I always assumed that there was a lot more. Of course, I didn't know the years of movies, but it's just interesting that this kind of historic monster clash that a lot of people know about was pretty early on into the lives and history of both, not so much King Kong, since that was the 30s, but more so Godzilla. And another thing I think is interesting is a lot of people think that Godzilla and Kong have had multiple movies and fights, which isn't true. The one coming out this week, when you're listening to this, or when we record this, is only the second time they've ever been in a movie together and fought. And I always think that's super interesting that the cultural impact and the idea of those two fighting is so large that most casual fans or movie watchers wouldn't know that this is only the second time.
I kind of always figured it was, but I'm not going to lie to you. Before I started dating Craig, I only ever really thought about Godzilla as that funny-looking lizard in the Matthew Broderick movie, who I liked. I just like lizards. But I never given it much thought prior to knowing Craig. He's been Kaiju Boy since day one. But I mean, yeah, I never thought of them fighting more than one time. I don't know, maybe it's just I've seen a lot of movies.
That's fair.
Too many movies. But yeah, no, I understand why people might have that misconception, and I mean this reboot is a long time coming for people who are into this kind of thing, like my boy here. It's definitely exciting. I mean, the last movie had Mothra. Maybe this one will also have Mothra.
I don't think so.
Why you gotta be like that?
Well, I don't know. The way that the movie kind of talks about, or the trailer for the new one kind of talks about, they make it seem like it's just Godzilla and Kong left. Like something happened to the rest of them.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
No. You want to know why? No, because I have very recently actually rewatched King of the Monsters with my mom. Hi, Mama.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, at my parents' house. And at the end of the movie, all it shows are a bunch of news articles about other Titan animals reawakening and coming back to the Earth and how they're good for the environment and stuff. So no, I think it's them obviously living underneath them, because I mean, we all saw Godzilla waste King Ghidorah.
That's fair. Shit's dope as hell.
So no, I think it's just them duking it out for who gets to wear the crown.
I'm so excited.
I know.
So excited.
2 more sleeps, as Craigie says.
Yes, roughly 48 hours. Actually less. 47 hours and 38 minutes from when we're recording this is when we're going to be seeing it in the theaters. But who is counting? Me.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I am counting.
This is the man I'm going to marry.
Alright, are you ready to get into the plot of the original?
I've been ready since we started, BB.
Oh, does that mean I've been talking for too long?
No!
Alright, so, our boy Mr. Taco.
Oh god, yeah.
Mr. fucking Taco, one of the most ridiculous characters in any movie I've ever seen. I love him. He's so animated and over the top and
with
stupid.
Super jacked teeth. Super jacked teeth.
True, and a massive mustache.
And I like that.
You do love a good mustache. But is he a hunk?
No.
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 A little too goofy?
Way too goofy, way too jacked of teeth.
Alright, so Mr. Taco, he's the head of a pharmaceutical company, and he's frustrated because he wants to have better ratings for his for his company, which is a great start to the premise, because his idea on how to bring up his ratings for a pharmaceutical company is to get a giant monster.
It's like a mascot, kind of.
Yes. Does that make sense?
No.
No. Not really. But he thinks that it'll give him a bunch of publicity. And, I mean, sure. It's probably the dumbest premise of almost any movie I've ever seen. But I think it brings out a bit of the charm of the film.
This was him trying to be his own ad man when he should have just gone to the guys in Mad Men.
That's true. They're not real, but they could have helped more than his own idea. That's for sure.
Are the people in Mad Men any less real than the people in the Godzilla movies? Comment below.
What is that supposed to mean?
You said they're not real. Well,
That's fair. Alright, so yes, so the island's called Faro Island, not Skull Island, which I thought was weird. I don't know why they changed that. Even when I was a kid, that used to throw me off. I'm just like, does King Kong have like a beach summer home, or what's going on there? So he talks two of his, or not two of his men, but just kind of two men. They don't really explain, as far as I know, how they even know who they are.
No.
He just finds two guys, and he's like, hey, go to this island and see what's going on there. See if you could find me a big old animal. And they're like, all right, we're getting paid. So they go, and they take a big old boat there, and they get there. And while they're there, we get a cutaway to an iceberg, where they're like, why is it so hot over here? Like, we're in, like, the Atlantic, and there's all this ice and shit. Why is the ice warm? Ice is supposed to be cold. And then all of a sudden, you hear the pa pa pa, and then the iceberg explodes. And bam, there's Godzilla, and he's like, yeah. And he's doing this big old fire thing, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And then, of course, Mr. Taco sees Godzilla on the news, and he's like, I'm sick of Godzilla! Which is one of my favorite lines ever.
It's so funny.
Because I love to retweet that every time I see that on the timeline. People are like, I'm sick of Godzilla! And I'm like, me too. You know what?
Also, the dub is just hilarious.
Oh yes, the dub in this movie is fantastic. One of my favorites of any Godzilla movie by far. Because they're all... What?
I'm just thinking about... no, we'll get to it.
No, say it.
On the boat.
You can say it.
There's the scene where, what do they even do? Oh yeah, they're like transporting King Kong back to Japan, even though it's been outlawed and whatever. And they're just like fighting over blowing up the little steamer thing behind them that has King Kong. And he's like, oh god, no, stop, not my gorilla, oh no! And he falls into the trigger for the TNT on his own. And it's so dramatic, and it's like watching a soap opera. That's what most of this movie is like. It's a soap opera.
It's fantastic, and we love it. We need more of it. But yeah, so Godzilla was in the iceberg, and he was trapped in an iceberg since the 1955, apparently. They don't really clarify how he got trapped in an iceberg, either. They just kind of say he was there all these years.
Global warming.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah, was that even a concern in the 60s?
Should have been, I don't know.
I don't know. Did they even think that existed yet?
Probably not. They didn't know a lot of things then.
Alright, so, by the way, between all of this, we're going between this random weird, like, newscaster thing between America and Japan.
Yes,
it's
and it's
super
so
weird.
Bizarre.
It's super weird.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. The berries.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
They're talking about the size of Godzilla's brain, saying how tiny it is.
That's how they find out about this island. Is there these natives
that's what it is.
Using this berry that's just a cherry tomato.
Yeah.
Saying that it has these, like, euphoric effects, and it's helping these people live a really long time.
Yeah.
And then they find out they're worshipping this giant god, and they're like, ooh, a kaiju? Perhaps. And I think that's definitely part of, like, what precedes it, but it's this very fancily dressed white man in one of those weird 60s newscaster rooms.
World's largest forehead.
Oh, huge forehead. And it's so bizarre. It's such a bizarre sequence, because that's what the real news looked like then. Like, they must have paid somebody to let them just use their, like, CBS, whatever, set or something. It was so bizarre.
Yeah, it's super weird, but yeah, they're going back and forth, and they're kind of just like commenting, like treating it like actual news whenever something happens with the Godzilla and the Kong. And our favorite cutaway is when they're talking about the two animals who'd win in a fight, because of course they're just like already pitting them against each other before anything happens. And the American picks up one of those berries that looks like the cherry tomato, and he's like, Godzilla has a pea brain. He's an idiot, essentially. And then they pick up a gorilla skull that they just happen to have laying around, apparently. And they're like, Kong is a sophisticated creature. Clearly, he has the upper hand. It's just so weird.
We have the higher ground, Anakin.
True, they are, they do treat them like Anakin and Kenobi. And there is a scene where Godzilla has the higher ground, which is very exciting. So...
I told you, King Kong did not win. Anyway. Also, just a side note on when it cuts to those weird newscaster scenes, it's always really tense
Mm-hmm.
in the movie, like in the scenes, like people are dying.
Yeah.
Cities are
And then all of a sudden,
smushed.
straight silence, and they go to the news.
Yes, it's really weird. It's like a parody of itself. That's how this, and maybe it's just the American cut. I can't say, but it's definitely, it feels like if I were watching like a scary movie. That's what it's like.
Yeah, like it seems like a joke. It's a very weird choice on their end for sure.
I like that it doesn't take itself seriously. That's something I like about this movie a lot.
See, and that's something I wonder with a lot of the old monster movies though. Like I feel like they had to have known, right?
I would hope so.
Like they must have known how silly it was, and I feel like that's part of what gives it the charm is they just kind of run with it. Like they're like, hey, let's have a giant ape and a giant lizard fight, and they're like, I bet.
Also, because you have to think, like, how seriously can they take themselves when two of their colleagues are walking around in these rubber suits with the most dopey, cross-eyed faces I've ever seen on them?
Yes, this is both the ugliest Godzilla and Kong both have ever been and ever will be.
Like, they look so bad.
It is so fucking funny. I love it. I love it so much. I would do anything for a figure of King Kong with his like hairless boobs and his cockeyed face. It's so funny. There's nothing I want more. There's one figure, but it's so expensive, and I'm not spending thousands of dollars on an ugly little thing to throw on my shelf.
If anyone who watches this happens to be flushed with cash, please hook it up with just that one thing and a Birkin bag for myself.
No, don't ask anyone for anything.
Fine. You know where to find me.
Anyway, so we cut to Faro Island where the two dudes that Mr. Taco sent to go and find, and the natives are very, like, skittish with them that live there. Super racist, by the way. They just straight up painted Japanese people brown for this scene. That definitely doesn't hold up very well.
No.
So that's definitely something that has aged poorly with this movie. But we get there, and they're all skittish, and then somehow they get the idea to just start giving them cigarettes, because they're like, oh, yeah, everyone likes to smoke, want to smoke? And then all the natives just start fucking chain smoking. And then a little kid comes up and asks for a cigarette, and one of the guys is like, ask your mother. And then the mom walks up and takes the cigarette and just starts smoking in front of him. It's a wild time. And then you hear some thunderclaps and some roaring from King Kong, and they start doing this weird dancing and singing all along. And the two men start arguing because one of them's like, oh, it's just thunder. And then the other one's like, no, there's something here that's pretty spooky. I don't want to be here no more. And then they hear the King Kong yell, and they're like, oh no. And then, then they get really scared, and then they just kind of, it cuts to night, everyone's asleep, and all of a sudden there's a big old octopus.
It's disgusting.
Just a giant octopus.
It's disgusting.
We don't know where it came from. We don't know anything about this island, like if it's like the original King Kong, where like there's other creatures there, or dinosaurs or large things, but there's just this big old octopus that shows up, starts tearing shit up, destroying everything, scaring the shit out of people, tentacle shit, like tentacle porn kind of shit.
No.
It's terrifying. And then everyone wakes up, and then the Japanese guys that came there, the two men, they start shooting it with the guns, and then that scares all the natives.
Working.
No, and then they start throwing like spears and stuff at it, and nothing's working. And then the octopus picks somebody up, and it's the greatest green screen of all time, swinging them back and forth, and he just throws the guy.
So good.
God, I love it. That's the kind of shit I live for.
Oh, it's gross, and mind you, like the.
Oh yeah,
it's
very noisy.
Yeah, the octopus noise is disgusting.
Yeah, it's very slimy and slappy sounding. It's
like
the best way to put it. Yeah, you didn't have to do it.
What?
Like, if I have to suffer, so does everybody else.
If you're watching this, yeah, you do.
So then, all of a sudden we hear a big old scream, and King Kong's, like, roar in this is fucking terrifying. It is so thunderous, and it actually kind of spoopy. And, and King Kong starts tearing down the gates, and we see him, and he has the most, like, anti-climactic entrance of any monster in any kaiju movie I've ever seen, because it just cuts to him walking over slowly to the gate, and then he tears down the gate and he starts throwing it at the octopus, because I don't know, he's helping the people, but they don't really explain that he's on their side. The whole time they make it seem like they're terrified of him and they don't want to interact with him, but then King Kong is helping them in the one time that they need help.
Yeah, but it's kind of that is echoed in the Kong Skull Island from, where year is that? 2017?
I believe so.
Something like that. That's echoed there as well, as they're absolutely terrified of him, but in the way that, like, people are scared of the old gods in the old stories.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Like, they're scared, but they know that if they need him, he'll be there, because no one's allowed to just roll up in his crib and eat his humans.
That's fair. So then he comes up and he starts throwing it, and then the King Kong picks up the octopus and throws it. And I was telling her when we were watching it, I was like, I wonder how much of that was, like, done post, or if the guy just picked up a live octopus, because that would be terrifying. Because like the octopus could kill a man.
Well, it's also not a small
Octopi are
octopus.
terrifying. No, it's fucking huge. And I don't know if we said this before. It's a real octopus that they have on
it's
this. It's just a real ass octopus. They didn't get a man in a suit. No practical effects. They just straight up took an octopus out of the ocean, threw him on the set, and saw what happened.
And it makes me so sad because
yes.
I love all the world's creatures, even if I think they're absolutely terrifying like the octopus. I still love them, like, very intensely.
Are you about to tell the fun fact about the octopus?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, first of all, to think that that's a real creature, and to think that that poor thing must have been so horrified of what was happening to it. Like, what the is going on? Like, why do these hairless monkeys do this shit? What's going on? And then our fun fact, I don't want to say it's number one, but it's like the big
so
fun fact. So they shoot this movie, they steal this octopus out of the ocean away from his kids, whatever. They start tossing shit at him, they let him dance around with some humans, scare him to, like, half to death. And then they finish filming and they eat him. And I cannot stress this enough, eat him.
Yes, the crew ate the octopus after they finished filming with it.
They made takoyaki out of him, and I'm not okay.
It's terrible, but I can't help but think it's hilarious at the same time.
Like,
just because that sounds like it sounds like an urban legend, and it's not.
Unfortunately, it's true.
So
I just first question and only question: why?
Because octopus is delicious.
Just put him back. Just put him. Let him go see his wife and kids.
Or at least let the guy who played King Kong eat him.
Do you ever think... Oh my god.
What?
Do you ever think that poor octopus got yanked out of the ocean one day and that his family waited for him to come back? And he never did? Because he got eaten by the people who made Godzilla vs. King Kong?
Stop making this so sad.
It is sad. He was alive.
It was funny till you made it sad.
I'm sorry, it was already sad.
Back to the show. I'm not crying. It's still funny.
I'm gonna pour one out for my octopus.
Alright, so King Kong decides to, after he defeats the octopus and yeets him, and he just kind of runs away. He doesn't really defeat the octopus. The octopus is just kind of like, I don't need this shit. And he just kind of slithers away.
I don't have to take this.
Pretty much. And then King Kong is like, I could use a snack after that. They have all that crushed up berry juice, and we get a nice zoom in on Kong's beautiful face.
Where his mouth doesn't really move.
No. Yeah, that's my favorite. When he does the scream, his mouth doesn't move.
Oh.
And then they had that crushed up berry juice, and Kong just starts slurping down like no fucking other. Like he just had a long day at his 9 to 5 and needs to pound down the beers. And he's just taking down this berry juice like nothing, and all of a sudden he sits down, and then everyone starts playing the drums and doing like the native singing and dancing. My favorite part is, why the hell are they dancing?
Kumbaya, my lord.
That's not what they say.
That's essentially what happens.
It's like, hey, 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 hey. It's like that.
Yeah, they're chanting.
Yeah, but it's funny because they're dancing even though King Kong is like, his back is facing them and he's falling asleep, so why does there need to be official dance?
Because they're asleep. It's their thing. They help them go to bed, and that's like when your mom comes and tucks you in and stuff at night and reads you a bedtime story.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
You don't see the bedtime story, though?
It proves its point later, remember? Anyway. Hater.
Yeah. So then King Kong falls asleep, and then the two dudes are like, hey, perfect opportunity for us to just fucking take him from this island without his knowing the islanders aren't going to stop us because we have guns, so we can take whatever we want.
He can't consent to this.
No, so then they tie him to a big old raft with a bunch of TNT on it just in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah, they're like, just in case you do things we don't like.
And then somehow Taco's on the boat with them when they get back to the boat, even though he wasn't there before.
Yeah.
And then the captain's like, what are we doing with this monkey? And Taco's like, oh yeah, I own him. And it's like, how does that work? How do you just... Alright, I don't think this... Alright. I don't think that's how this works.
Him? He went to the JSPCA and...
and adopted one large monk.
God.
So then they took him, and then they're like, hey, we got orders from Japan that he's not allowed to come. No Kong. And they're like, what? And he's like, my Kong? And it's like, no, the other guy's fucking Kong. What do you mean? Taco is the most ridiculous character in anything I've ever seen.
They banned importation only when it was with Taco.
Pretty much. So then Kong starts waking up, and they're like, oh shit, what do we do? And then the two guys pull out their guns.
It's my favorite
and they're ready
scene.
to shoot. And then Taco's like, no, not my Kong. And then they start pushing each other. And then he cartoonishly swings his arms around going, whoa, 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 not my Kong. And then he does the thing and I talked about before where he lands on the TNT and blows it up. And then...
No, but it doesn't blow up.
Oh, that's right.
It doesn't blow up.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like all this all this bullshit with the Three Stooges here and nothing happens.
Yeah. So, God, it's such a trip. But... while that's happening, Godzilla shows up in Japan, and he's just terrorizing the poor countryside. Like, not even like a big city. He's just messing up, like, people trying to grow their crops, have a good, quiet life. And Godzilla said, nah, how about I burn that?
He said, I don't get a good, quiet life? No.
You don't get a good, quiet life.
Human beings? No.
And then once they reach the mainland, Kong... is kind of... they don't really even explain it, that he's just kind of free now, like, not tied up. And then he's there, and he sees King Kong burning up the countryside, and he's like, yup. What'd it do? And then Godzilla's like, hey, what'd it do? And they're just kind of, like, yelling at each other, and Kong's running over with his arms flailing in the air like a cartoon character. Oh, yeah,
and his arms are, like... comedically long.
Yes, it's like there's no way the suit actor's arms were as long as Kong's
no one's arms are that long.
And then Godzilla got his little T-Rex arms and he's clapping going, gah, 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 and Kong's like, brah, rah, rah, and he's just running towards each other. And then this is where Godzilla has the higher ground and King Kong's a little bit lower and they're just kind of yelling at each other. And then Kong starts throwing rocks at him, thinking that's gonna do anything. And Godzilla's like, hey, what the hell, dude? And then Kong throws another rock, and then Godzilla's like, hey, what the hell, dude? And then he shoots fire at him, and then King Kong has a bunch of ash on him, and he looks really angry. Like, he's just like, dude, my best fur. And then, then he doesn't fight. He turns around slowly
and dips.
And walks away. Because Kong doesn't have time for that shit, apparently. It is the most ludicrous shit. It's the most anticlimactic fight. You're like, oh shit, they're about to throw down, and Kong's like, man, my fur, and then he just walks away. And then Godzilla's just kind of like, and then it's scene.
That's pretty much.
We don't know where Godzilla goes. Maybe he takes a nap. Maybe he burns down the rest of the countryside. Scene. So after this, they decide to build a large pit and put poisonous explosive gas in it, and they're just praying that Godzilla somehow walks into it. They don't really have a plan of how or why. They're just hoping he really falls in. And they do actually happen to lure him in there, and then nothing happens. He doesn't get hurt. So they try to stop Godzilla, and nothing happens.
Big lizard versus big hole.
Yes.
Will win.
Pretty much. And then after that, they're like, well, that didn't work, so let's try to line the city with 1,000,000 volts of electricity and see if that'll just beat them up.
Yeah, because first of all, that's safe.
Also, apparently the people who built that didn't watch the first Godzilla movie and see him melt a bunch of electrical poles down.
Oh yeah, good times.
So they didn't watch the first movie. They should have done their homework. They probably would have had more success knowing what does and doesn't work already.
I think of that movie so fondly after that super fine man. Anyway.
What's his name?
I don't know.
How fine could he be? You don't remember his name?
I don't care. He's fine.
Alright, so it does hurt Godzilla. He's like, ow. Like, he kind of just walks into it. He's like, well, fuck this shit. And then he walks away. And then King Kong starts approaching Tokyo. And he's tearing through shit. And he gets to the electricity. And he touches it. He's like, oh, that feels kind of good. And then he fucking eats it.
Yes, he turns into... He's Palpatine.
Pretty much. That's what happens. He bites on it. He just, like, starts absorbing the electricity. It's so bizarre.
Zap, zap,
It works. Somehow... He is way stronger. And once people start seeing Kong wrecking shit, they're like, oh no. And then they shoot a bunch of berry juice at him, and it puts them back to sleep because they're like, well, it worked the first time. It worked the second time as well.
Okay,
Must be some damn good juice.
Juice.
Anyway, so their next plan is they're like, well, we can't stop Godzilla, but maybe Kong can stop Godzilla if he doesn't get a little bitchy about his fur getting a little ashy.
They have lotion for that, you know?
For fur?
Sure, that's what body oil is.
You got me there. So they decide to capture Kong after they fall asleep again, and then they tie him to a bunch of balloons.
Oh,
the
yeah.
world's strongest form of helium, apparently, because how do you carry a 1,000-ton monkey other than fucking yellow balloons? And they tie him to the balloons, and they start floating, and they aim it into projection of course, Godzilla, hoping that they'll just fucking maul each other and that they'll both die. They don't seem to think that part through, because it's like, clearly one's probably going to win.
No, they're just really hopeful that they'll both die in an accident.
God, these...
Because they're rid of both.
I think Taco wrote this movie.
Well, I'm sorry to say... No, I'm not sorry to say it. This is the mindset of a 1960s man. Regardless of his background, he didn't think it through. He's like, yeah, they'll just eat each other, whatever.
Yeah, it'll work. So, they start... Godzilla's near Mount Fuji. And they start bringing Kong that way. And once Kong gets close enough, they do the unthinkable. They pop his balloons.
Oh, shit.
And he slides down the fucking mountain 1,000,000 miles an hour, feet out, ready to take Godzilla out like no fucking other. He kicks him, and they just go flying. And then they roll down the hill, and then they both stand up. They're like, what the fuck was that? And they're like, hey, fuck you. And then Kong's like, fuck you too. And then... That's essentially what happens. And then they just start beating the shit out of each other. It's a good time. Godzilla gives him a good fire breath and kicks him to the floor. And then Kong's laying in the pile of rocks. And Godzilla's like, is he done? Is he dead? And I win.
I mean, Joe,
and he's like, I need
eating things.
Yeah, he's like, I need to double check. So he starts kicking rocks on him with his tail. He's like, all right, let's do that one. No, let's give him another kick, and he just keeps covering him rocks.
Just
and then he's like, yeah, I got him, fucking loser. He's dead. He's dead now. And then he turns around, and he starts slapping his tail on him backwards, not paying attention. And like the whole time this is happening, Kong's like opening one eye to like check. He's like, do I got him? Does that dumbass think I'm dead?
He did his
fucking
touchdown dance
fucking
too early.
peanut-brained lizard.
Oh God!
I'm the educated monster.
Lord,
and
no.
then when Godzilla's slapping his tail on him, Kong's like, ah! And then it's like an attempt of a jump scare almost. And
yeah, it's again the comedic value here
God,
through
great.
the roof.
And then the dogs, the darn dogs is okay. So then King Kong grabs Godzilla by the tail and just fucking throws him, and it's fantastic. And then they start kind of slapping each other again a bit. And then, for some reason, they decided to do stop motion.
Just for this one scene.
Yeah, and it's like
kick him.
Yes, Godzilla like gets up on his tail and kicks King Kong over, but it's like 4 frames, so it looks awful.
Oh, so
it's
bad.
So funny.
So bad.
And then he knocks Kong over. Then Kong stands up, and Godzilla's shooting fire. All the trees around him are on fire, and this is where the greatest attack in cinematic history happens. King Kong grabs a tree out of the ground and starts shoving it into Godzilla's mouth.
And we seem to like that.
It is the greatest thing I've ever seen. You can't tell me that's not the funniest shit you've ever seen.
I mean, it looks
so great.
It looks like when you're trying to get a small child that you get a stalk of broccoli.
He's like, Mommy, I don't want it. He's like, "Here's your fucking broccoli."
You're gonna eat it whether you like it or not.
And I've been saying for years now that if they don't recreate that in the new movie, then it should have never happened. Because that's the one reference that I really want. So I hope that we see that
Yeah, I've
again.
got my fingers crossed, otherwise he's gonna walk out and leave me there with all the popcorn.
No, I'm taking the popcorn.
The disrespect of this man.
So that happens, and then King Kong, it starts storming, and King Kong starts getting all electricity again.
He gets all Palpatined.
Yeah, he gets all Palpatine, he starts shocking Godzilla, he's like, zzz. And then the whole time, like, Taco and the other dudes are just like, I got money on Kong. Like, they're taking bets.
For real, they're filming this on their little cameras, like those kind that had no sound at that time, so you had to reel, and they're, like, literally placing bets, like, no, oh, shit,
So
no,
funny.
oh, he's got the higher ground, Anakin, oh, shit, you know?
And then they just kind of start rolling and beating each other up until they roll into the ocean.
Rolling.
They fall off a cliff. And on the way there, they take down, like, historical religious buildings and all these other great things.
Oh, yeah, some undeniably Shinto shrines. I feel bad.
Which was my favorite scene ever as a kid. I used to just rewind and watch that over and over because for some reason I found it so cool. I just loved it. Let me see. It's actually called the Atami Castle, in case you want to know the exact name. I just looked it up. But yes, so they fall off the cliff. They both fall into the Pacific Ocean, again, to be specific. And then, only then you see Kong resurface, and you don't see Godzilla. So all the people watching are like, oh, King Kong won. He's swimming home, as if they know where the fuck he's going. But
I know.
And then the movie just ends. And there's no sign of Godzilla. So you presume he lost, but nothing says that he did. But all these years later, Kong is considered the winner.
No.
So...
Not by me. And I'm the authority.
So give me your overall thoughts on the film.
First of all, this movie's whack. It's definitely fun to watch. I think they fight kind of like luchador wrestlers.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it.
It's ridiculous the way they hype each other up. Is like watching an old like Hulk Hogan fight. It's ridiculous. The characters in this, like, nobody's particularly fleshed out other than Taco. It wouldn't be Taco. I don't know. Never mind. I can't pretend like I know how to say or even remotely pronounce things the Japanese way.
It's literally just Taco. So,
Taco.
like, it's spelled Tako. So
I know, but it doesn't matter. It's just a fun movie. I like that it doesn't take itself particularly seriously. I think, I love kaiju fighting, and I wish that there was a little more going on as far as, like, the stories of each creature. But that's why I'm excited for this new one to come out, is I know more about them both now. They're both more sympathetic characters in their own way.
Yeah, much more fleshed out.
And, yeah, they just didn't take the time to do that. And I understand why. They didn't, like, things were very different at that time. The way they made movies.
Oh, yeah.
For the kind of audience they made for then. I think it's fun. I think if you want a little bit of brain rot, this isn't...
Good brain rot.
Yeah, it's nothing too bad. You can kick back, have some popcorn, sit with a loved one, and just watch something fun.
Yeah, this was definitely a hell of a time.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it. Definitely, it's just a good old cheesy popcorn flick, and it's a really fun time.
10 out of 10.
Like, Anna likes to give me my shit, but she enjoys it too. And I know she's just joking. It's just a good time.
Yeah, they're fun, and I think...
And these kind of movies aren't for everybody, but if you know what you're getting into, then you're going to enjoy it, I think.
I agree.
It's just goofy, but in the best way possible.
Like, you can't have your nose in the air when it comes to movies like this.
No.
That's the purpose of them, is that anyone can enjoy them.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be a film snob. You don't have to be someone who doesn't even like movies. It can be anybody.
Yeah. You should be like, hey, want to watch a big monkey and a big lizard beat the shit out of each other? And if that person doesn't say, yeah, sure, then they don't need to be in your life.
I agree.
They are a waste of time.
Truly.
But I have some fun facts for you, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So you were right that there was no Godzilla theme, because I didn't really think about it till you said it, but that was a U.S. release edit, and one thing that is weird, they used a bunch of random music that Universal had the rights to, and one of those was music from Creature of the Black Lagoon. So if any of that sounded familiar to you, since you've seen that, maybe...
I mean, yeah, genuinely, yeah.
I was going to say, because I haven't seen that, so I figured maybe you would know, but...
That's so whack.
Yeah.
Oh my... Then here, play this short snippet over your viewing of the original Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Another fact, there's not too many, honestly, for this one, at least I could find that isn't we didn't kind of just breeze through over common knowledge of the movie, and also what we just mentioned throughout. But another one is, seasoned Godzilla fans would probably know this, but if you aren't someone that watches a lot of the movies, this is the only movie where this specific Godzilla costume is used. They never use it again, and that's it. Which is kind of interesting, because often they recycle the same suit more than once, a few times, just to get some good use out of it.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, you have to think, too, like, the time and effort that goes into making those things, because, I mean, they don't do it anymore, but at that time, like, that would have been so expensive and time-consuming to only use it once.
Oh, yeah.
Given he's not my favorite, I definitely prefer a Godzilla with more of a snoot,
Yes,
as I say.
you do like a good snoot.
I like it when he reminds me more of a cat. This one did not remind me of a cat, and I do not favor him.
Yeah. And the last fun fact is that this is actually one of the most profitable Japanese movies ever, believe it or not. Yes. Okay, so the budget was $10,000 at the time.
Oh.
So for inflation, that's about $86,000.
That's still nothing
but
for a movie.
The movie made
like
$2.7 million.
In their money or our money?
Their money.
Oh my god.
So to go from 10,000 to that, it's ridiculous.
Oh my god.
But especially at the time, I mean, people were so excited for this.
That's a lot of Mad Men.
I mean, this movie is important not just because of it being Godzilla and Kong, but this is really like the original like versus movie.
Yeah, which I personally live for them. I
Exactly.
live for any versus
Freddy
scenario.
versus Jason, any of that stupid stuff.
so
Batman
this-
v Superman.
This walked so Freddy versus Jason could run.
Any of that kind of silly stuff.
Oh god.
So yeah, I mean, it has a lot of historical relevance, of course. And yeah, I love this movie. This is a childhood one for me, so it just means a lot to me for that. And if you haven't watched it, I still hope you consider it. Short, and it's a damn good time.
It's a fun movie. I would definitely recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't necessarily grow up watching like constant kaiju movies. My mother was no stranger to watching movies like this.
Yeah.
My mom's a lot older than most people's parents are. So.
Oh my god.
Shit. Wait, maybe cut that out.
No.
Oh gosh, she's gonna beat my ass. I'm sorry, Mama. My mom's a little bit older than most people's parents are. So there were a lot of different kinds of reruns. And so she would see stuff like this, but it wasn't constantly on when I was growing up like it was for Craig. He and his father, Big Craig, are two kaiju boys. There's Kaiju Craig 1 and Kaiju Craig 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's so sweet, and I love knowing that we're gonna go see this movie with his mom and his dad and his little sister and her boyfriend, and I think it's so sweet because I can picture my little Craig sitting with Big Craig when he was a small, just a wee lad, watching that and being so in love with it and thinking it's the best thing he's ever seen, and now getting to see it grown up with his pop. I think it's so sweet, and it's sentimental to me in that way. And I just think it's fun. I don't think there's anything wrong with movies like this.
No.
You know, there are a lot of people who are way, way snobby. And it's useless. Like, let people enjoy what they want. And especially when it's something like this, it doesn't hurt anybody. It's a good way to spend an hour and a half, however long it is.
You need your Godzilla versus Kongs as much as you need your Citizen Kanes.
I agree. They all have their place.
Mm-hmm.
They all mean different things to different people. And, you know, this definitely was a cinematic feat for its time. And to pretend that it's not is just... Ugh, my favorite word, arrogant.
It is.
Yeah, it's just, what a waste of time to pretend like people didn't, you know, believe in this and want this to be made and work hard on it and make sure that they thought their performance was worthy of this and that the costuming was worthy and that this was going to mean something to somebody someday. Even if it didn't make a bunch of money, it didn't matter.
Yeah, although it did make a lot of money.
Money. That's big monies. We're talking 2 point whatever million in 1962 money. That's a lot of monies, man.
It's a whole lot of monies.
More monies than I'll ever see.
Probably. But thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Of course, like I said, next episode we are going to be covering Godzilla vs. Kong 2021.
Very exciting.
So that's going to be exciting because we're going to go... Like I said, the day this goes live is the day that movie comes out. So then following that, we'll be covering that. Hopefully we have positive impressions. I have a feeling we will. Because so far the MonsterVerse has not disappointed me personally. I know some other Godzilla fans disagree. But I've had a good time. And, yeah, if you want, feel free to leave us any questions, comments,
reviews, critiques, anything at our Twitter, BMNF Podcast, or at our email, bloodmonstersandfears, if I could talk, at gmail.com. And we also have an Instagram, not too active, but once in a while we post on there as well, if you just feel like swinging by and saying hi.
I'll be there.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I guess that's it. It's been a while since I closed the show, so I gotta think about it.
I know.
But happy to be back. We'll try to be more frequent. If not, no promises, but we enjoy doing this, so we still plan on doing it as much as we possibly can.
Also, on the side, because of when this will be dropping, for those of you who love that fresh Easter, happy Easter. For those of you who love that fresh Passover, happy Passover. If you don't celebrate any of that, go save some money the day after Easter on Easter candy. Probably at Walgreens. You can get some jelly beans.
Hell yeah.
Hook it up.
All right, well, I hope everyone listening has a good day, night, evening, morning, whatever, and we will talk to you later.
Catch you in the flip side.